such as, excuse me, PE Explorer, which you have to pay for, and that will impact certain uh, types of packing. I did download it, but I only tried it on one of the programs, and it didn't work. No big deal. I'll just go ahead and get started on 18-1. So I'm going to open the file lab 18-01.exe, and then search for the tail jump using ollie-dump. And I always use traceover now. I'm not sure what trace into does, but it hasn't worked for me, so I'm avoiding it at this point. So I guess once we do that, we can press go and it'll stop at that point, and then we can step from it to see if there's a jump. Maybe I had to clear all the breakpoints, but shouldn't have been done. Okay. At first, maybe I didn't clear all the breakpoints or something. Let me go look. This is the only one. I'm not sure what to make of that. Maybe it's a hardware breakpoint or something. But anyway, if I step one more, this is step into, which won't bypass any commands. And usually the original entry point, a lot of times will start with push EBP, that's what they say. But what you can do is also try to just dump the program. And it uses 154F as the original entry point right here. Dump. I'm going to say A1. Okay, now I'm going to open that in, let's see, what's the program? IDAPRO free. Looks like a legit program. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious when it doesn't work right, because you don't get code or a graph that looks like a program like this, but also imports. That's a good indicator too. Believe it or not, though, sometimes when you don't get imports, it works. Well, up to a point. I mean, it works as well as we need it to, but we'll see that later on. Anyway, that was successful, and that's it for lab 1, number 1. I'm going to close that out. I'm going to open number 2. Now, we can still look for a tail jump down here. Well, one of the things we can do is try and find the tail jump with ollie-dump. Okay, so this looks like it didn't work, but the fact is, if you go analysis and analyze code, there's a push EBP right there. So, excuse me, I'm going to double click so there's a break on it. I'm going to step over, which will bypass going into any procedures. Oh, didn't mean to do that. I guess it was already broken there. I think you can still say ollie-dump, dump debug process, and I have to make sure this is a 0 instead of 1 because I went instruction ahead. A2. 3. Now I have notes. Okay, you see this error message and it's okay. But let me see if I have any breakpoints. Okay, number 3. So, find OEP by section hop. Didn't find the right spot. There are anti-debugging techniques. Okay, so if I go back in the book and look at the type, one thing that I didn't do in the first 2 questions was go in and look at the type. But I'll do that here because it does matter. That's a step you should do. PE compact, and if you look back on page 397, there is mention about this particular type of packer. You can look for the tail jump. The recommendation here is you can find the OEP by looking for the tail jump. Step over a few functions and you will see a tail jump consisting of a jump EAX followed by many 0 bytes. So it's not too hard to go page down. Paging down. Okay, there we go. Oh yeah, tail jumps are long, they say, and going from 405 to 407 is pretty long, so my guess is this is the tail jump, but I think I have the answer too. Yep. So I'm going to double click on that. I'm going to hit go. Well, that's step. There we go. Okay, now I'll step into. And this, I believe, is the correct location. Now, I just want to let everybody know that it took me far longer to do these first 3. Well, the first one and the second one went pretty quick, but I mean, it probably took a half hour at least for these 3 just to, get a handle. So, I mean, it's not like I'm doing this for the first time. This is the second time after success and multiple failed attempts on a few of them. So I'm going to say plug in ollie dump process, and A3. Okay, so now I'm going to say item pro free, file, open, A3. Okay, it turns out that's not the correct location. Let me keep going. It has to go just a little bit further. That brings up the interesting point. Did it not work? I mean, just because it has this little extra piece in the code. Oh, okay, and then yeah, we're at another point here where we can say analysis, analyze code. See, in the answer it says this is the correct original entry point. Let me close this and overwrite A3 option plugins. Dump debug process. We got A3 down here, and proof free. reference that we had before, but we didn't have that one initial procedure up above. This is correct. The answer I had was wrong. I had to go a little bit more. In some of these you have to go a little bit more to get to the spot where they say is the original entry point. Alright, number 4. As you can see, I wrote down the answer. So it finds a particular type. Let's open desktop. 18.4. So the type is ASPAC. And this is mentioned in the book. So if we go back to 18. And if we look at page 398, ASPAC is focused on security. Setting a breakpoint can cause programs to terminate prematurely. It says automatic unpackers are worth a try, but I'm not going to download any this time. They say usually, I believe in here it says it usually needs to be manually unpacked. It says early in the code you'll see a push AD instruction. Determine which stack addresses are used to store the registers and set a hardware breakpoint on one of those addresses. Okay, so what I did with this particular one was I'll go into Ali debug. Just skip that message, I keep going. So I well, first of all, let me say options, debugging options. And I skip these. And I say, okay. That way it passes all the exceptions in to the program. Now, I step one step. And then I look at ESP and I say follow and dump. Maximize this. So dump is down here, and then what I do is I right click and I say breakpoint, memory on or hardware on access, D-word. I don't know if that's the best way to do it, but it seems to be the way that worked for me. So then let me double check to make sure. Press go. I have to step a few commands because I'm not at tail jump. So this is the way it can step. Okay, and the return gets me to, if you see something that doesn't look like code, you can say analyze code. 403.896. Let me double check and make sure that I have address. Okay, that says it looks right.